Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Point Three Podcast, your favorite trio of hosts. Back again, and today we are going to be talking about Xmen 97. So, if you've been living under a rock, you might not know what we're talking about. This show series, its origins go back decades, and the remake has taken the internet by storm. People are finally getting onto the show. Episode 5 shook the internet. It shook X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, for days upon days upon days upon days. Spider Brando, Hero Scroll, Lou, we are here to tell you what you need to know and really how Xmen 97 is shaping and changing and influencing the MCU overall. There's been a lot of good conversations, and just we want to bring you guys kind of what our thoughts are on Xmen 97 animation, what's going on with the next phase, just kind of how it's all going to tie together. So, Hero Scroll, we're going to start off with you. Through 5 episodes, how are you feeling about Xmen 97 in the Marvel space today?
It's a double-edged sword. And it's a really good double-edged sword. Because, I mean, just to kind of get our thoughts on Xmen 97, or, at least mine, it's fantastic in every way. Animation, voice acting, storyline, drama, everything. This show genuinely has everything you could want in any regular series, I would say, any superhero series, but especially an X-Men series. It delivers on all cylinders. And if you're not watching it week by week, and if you're waiting to kind of binge it all, normally with most Marvel shows, I'd say that's okay. Go ahead and wait. This one, don't wait. Yeah. I genuinely think you're missing out if you don't watch it. Mainly because with the way that these episodes feel like they're going, and they're going to keep continuing on, you're just going to have it spoiled, especially if you're on the internet. So just go ahead, catch up, and just enjoy for what it is. But it's too good.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this a lot on our Discord between us, other people. And I've seen this conversation go around on like Instagram, Twitter. It's just raising the bar too high for when the X-Men crossover into live action. I think people are going to expect way too much. They already do. Let's be honest. They already kind of expect a lot on the X-Men. But X-Men 97, since it's hitting so well, I feel like we're going to be kind of disappointed when they eventually come back into the MCU.
Yeah, one really quick point. I think you mentioned 2 things that I think are going to be really interesting that tie into how high X-Men 97 is setting the bar. And Spider-Man, I'll kick it over to you in just a second, but there are 2 things that I noticed that I saw today. One being on Threads, and then the other one Twitter. But Dan Slott, it was interesting last week after the episode dropped. It's just interesting where you're seeing a lot of this happening so much more, and he's like, hey, PSA, get off the internet, go watch X-Men 97 episode 5 before anyone spoils it for you. Seriously, wow. And you get a lot of people feeling that of like, oh my gosh, like, go watch it. It's been good, episode 1. It's been good, episode 2. It's been good, episode 3. And then episode 4 hits, and you're like, is this everything? And then bam, episode 5, it hits. And again, to Hero Scroll, your point of waiting to binge versus watch, right? As we know, Marvel shows come out, a lot of people are like, I'm going to let it stack. I'm going to chill. It's cool. Not a big deal. I'll eventually watch it. But that ties into something that's very, very interesting. And I think Ben David Grabinski said this. He's a creator of Netflix. Scott Pilgrim takes off. And he was talking about Fallout, that Amazon Prime released all the Fallout episodes at once, right? And his quote was, as someone who had his whole season drop all at once at the same time, it's the dumbest poop ever. There's literally no upside. Imagine if the whole season of X-Men 97 was out. And it's that upside piece, right? And that's what I just want to throw over to you, Spider Brando, is what is the benefit that you're feeling watching X-Men 97 week to week, especially being someone who didn't run through it when it came out in the 90s and really didn't take the time to catch up on it until recently, but or at least, you know, check out some episodes. But what benefit are you getting from watching X-Men 97 week to week?
The benefit of building hype and looking forward to next week's episode. But boy, do I wish all these freaking episodes were out right now so I could watch after what crazy poop just happened in episode 5. Oh my. But it's hard to tell with shows. I feel like certain shows definitely deserve like weekly releases, and then there's other shows that's just like, drop it all at once. Like it's all, man, this is like
I
the
feel like it's
5th
like
time.
relative kind of thing or
Yeah,
something.
relative. Yes. It's all relative to the show and like what's being released, in my opinion. Like if Fallout were to come out every week and have like 8 episodes, 8 weeks, who's really gonna be clamoring to see it? If I know a
Sure.
lot of my friends that are gamers and all that just went on huge, just watch it all in like 1 to 2 nights, and it generated a lot of hype over the weekend. But then with X-Men, it's like it was built to be a weekly show that's like you wake up every Saturday morning. I mean, this one's Wednesdays, but like they wanted to replicate that feel of the 90s sitcom or 90s TV era of having a weekly. So it's all relative to me. It's hard to find a balance, especially because we all want things like as soon as possible. You just gotta learn to appreciate what comes out weekly and what doesn't come out weekly and find ways to fill in time around that.
100%, dude. 100%. I think this X-Men 97 to me has proven that weekly releases are still king and queen, right? They're still top of the food chain. The bingeable shows are just that. They are bingeable. However, in today's social media era, I think that you lose a lot of substance when you get a binge and then it's kind of reactive, like, oh, I should watch this because everyone says it's good. Episode 1, oh, it's really good, I should jump onto it, and I finish it, and it's like there's a disconnect in terms of speed that people can watch it or not, right? But what X-Men 97 is doing is really embracing exactly what you said. Hero Scroll and Spider-Brander, you were mentioning too, that double-edged sword. Like, it's so good that everything else is just going to feel underwhelming. But I bring this question up, and I'll throw this back over to you, Hero Scroll. Has this proven that superhero fatigue is junk?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've been listening to us for a while, you know that we don't really believe that superhero fatigue is the definition that everybody thinks it is, right? Because it does exist in certain ways, right? But overall, it's just junk, right? It's that buzzword that people use to kind of, I guess, downplay the impact that superhero movies and the superhero genre in general has on things. That, you know, they're like, yes, celebrating the box office death of it, and it's like, no, it's still very much alive. It's just in a downward trend because, like everything, there's peaks and valleys. You know, you're going to have your great, amazing times, and you're going to have your kind of low quality dips. That's just how products go, right? And in this case, shows and movies and art. Right now, we're in a very strong swing up because it's been since what, 2019, I want to say, whenever X-Men Dark Phoenix came out. It's been a minute since we've had good X-Men stories to really sink our teeth into. And when it comes out in a time where animation is also on a very high upswing, excuse me, because of not only anime but also Western animation with
Mm-hmm.
Into and Across the Spider-Verse and many other movies that have come out in the past year or two. I mean, this series is riding on all that upwards momentum, right? And I feel like eventually it will come down, right? So I kind of wanted to, within your question, throw in another question, because we kind of started off the episode talking about it, but what is going to be the downward trend that this causes, right? Where's this double-edged sword going to hit us back and hurt us because of the quality? Spider-Man, maybe I'll kick it over to you first. But when are we gonna look back and be like, man, X-Men 97 was just too good?
Whenever the next animated show comes out. I don't think they're gonna put like as much effort was put into 97 and how peak it is so far. Only five episodes in. I don't think any other animation show has gotten as much love as 97's gotten. So I'm already setting my expectations to disappointment and following MJ's footsteps.
So do you think, for example, because I know we have things confirmed like What If season 4, we have the Marvel Zombies, and I'm sure I'm missing something else, but the big one that I'm thinking about is Friendly Neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's just not gonna have the same love and care as this?
I feel like that one will, just because Disney wants to. I feel like Disney's going to try to really pull all its eggs in its basket to fight back at Sony and make like a banger of something that they can't touch. So they put in a lot of rework. At first, I don't think they put much into it, but ever since it got like rebranded and retitled to Friendly or Neighborhood Spider-Man instead of Freshman Year, I've been starting to have a little more hope for it. But I'm still not expecting like Xmen 97 level or like Infinity War feelings and stuff like that out of it.
So there's two parts of that, right? When we throw out like the animation follow-up, the hard part that I think that we kind of forget is the X-Men themselves and the power sets that we're dealing with are so unique in comparison to the rest of the grounded levels. Even Spider-Man himself, I would put more towards that grounded version than if we're looking at a Storms or a Cyclops. Like, okay, if we break it down, right, and we say types of characters, right, how dope is it that the Sentinels are saying Omega level threat? But when you look at like, what does that mean? You have Magneto, you have Storm, characters, even Goblin Queen, that can affect more than just themselves or the person next to them, right? They have just anything around them can be affected. Think about all the effort that goes into these scenes, the setting, the colors, time of day, time of night, shading, all that kind of stuff is what feels like almost impossible for them. Going back to what Hero said with Dark Phoenix, majority of the live action X-Men shows are kind of movies are kind of butt. Like there's a reason why Logan stood out the most, but he didn't really need that much. He has his claws, he has his moment, he has his fighting. You add a little bit to him, and great. And it's peak Wolverine for the most part for a lot of people in terms of what he can do. It matches for the most part. There's definitely still a gap for those of you that are Wolverine fans of things that they never even got close to touching. But that being said, the bar is being set, and we're finally at a point when, kind of like we talked about with, live action or animation, which would we prefer? Technology is at a point now where we can finally express these characters' power sets in a way that really has never been able to be done before. They couldn't do this in the 90s. They can't do this in live action. So I kind of almost say X-Men 97 is such an outlier. It doesn't matter for everything else because I don't think anything else can really be as great. Now, without being long-winded, The only other thing I'll say to that is when you think of like a Zombies or Freshman Year or What If, I don't think they really have to deal with what 97 is dealing with in terms of looks and quality of character. These are lower tier characters that are being showcased, and I think What If is elevating them. But you have top tier characters getting top tier everything else in 97. People are finally realizing that the mutants are in my opinion, the pinnacle of superhero from a Western standpoint. So much so that you have anime fans that are being like, yo, this is what you guys are on. Like, I'm here for it. And I'm like, yeah, shout out, I'm wearing a Demon Slayer shirt, but the rest of the stuff, if I show you What If, they're going to be like, that's nice. Like, you tried. Like, it's
That's
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put you on something great.
Yeah, and adding to that point of it being such an outlier, I know that a lot of people have talked about it, but because of the timing of its release, right, it's gotten a lot of people in who really just one haven't seen anything in the MCU, right? I've seen TikTok after TikTok and Instagram post after Instagram post and Twitter X posts of people that are like, "Hey, this took me back like 30 years." Or 20 plus years to when I was a child and watching the X-Men animated series. I haven't seen anything else Marvel related, but this makes me want to get into everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for a new generation of fans that haven't seen anything X-Men, really, like I think of all the kids that, maybe 6, 7 years old ish age range that never watched or haven't watched those old, or not old, but the the not new live action movies, and all they know is this X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
This immediately raises the X-Men to a bar that I don't know how it will be met later on, because when you have this version of Cyclops, this version of Storm, this version of Magneto, Rogue, Gambit, everybody, when you see them and they have a very minimal part in the movie, because let's be honest, not everybody's going to get the same amount of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little disappointing for some people,
Mm-hmm.
especially newer fans who are like, yo, Gambit is my new favorite X-Men. Well, sorry in the animated show, and also sorry in live action, because he might only get 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah. Yeah. Only other thing I want to add to that is, we typically know the MCU, which has had, we did a tier ranking of what, 20 films that were like, oh my gosh, if you're top 20, this is great. How many of those movies or shows do we have where characters get limited time and there's a focus on the main character, but people who are introduced to the X-Men are seeing a story that's told across, let's just say 30-minute episodes each, a few hours. You're falling in love with 7, 8, 9 characters that you may have just been introduced to, or people who are going back into their feels and that nostalgia that are like, I don't remember that feeling that way about them now. Let's be honest. Wolverine might be one of the lesser characters to this point in the show. But every single moment he's had has been very purposeful. And this is where I'll say that double-edged sword of, can you recreate a feel from an animated X-Men 97 in this way? Probably not. What can potentially be done, and why this, in my opinion, is slotted right next to Into and Across the Spider-Verse, is because of the script, the production team, the producers, the people that put this together. It shouldn't be, in my opinion, to this point, it shouldn't be the animated films and shows that are crushing it. Because I think for sure we can say the best Marvel movie is animated and the best Marvel show is animated. That's tough. However, if you can carry anything over, It's got to be the quality of story, the quality of characters, and making things feel high stakes, having critical moments, but it just feels like everything is purposeful. I don't think that there's much waste of time. And for those people that I've seen who are saying, "Oh, episode 4 was kind of a waste of time," I highly doubt by the end of that you felt the same way as when it started. And how many people are like, "Wow, maybe I do like Jubilee." That were like, "Why is she in the show?" It's possible. I'm just saying this is the quality thing. For everyone out there, superhero fatigue, go look at the people behind this production and look at how they executed that. Because it ain't just all visuals with X-Men 97.
It's got the whole shebang to it.
Perfect
really
5
does.
episode. Perfect.
Now, I was gonna say, let's hope the next 5 episodes that come out are just as good. I'm sure they will be. So, you know, I highly doubt we have to worry about it, but it's going to be interesting to see what the greater Marvel Studios in general uh, does with the success that this has had, and how they incorporate that into other projects in terms of its storytelling and all of that.
Let me ask you guys one final question, because again, I know this is kind of a midpoint and everyone's like, you're crowning it as the GOAT of all animation. Yeah, I'll die on that hill. And yeah. Now, question to you guys, and we kind of touched on this a couple weeks ago, but if Marvel made an animated universe and it looked the way X-Men 97 does and sounded the way that X-Men 97 does, there's a lot of details, and hopefully by the end of this for the finale, we'll kind of jump in the kind of what we're talking about. But if they were to do that, would you guys be open to Marvel shifting away and downsizing the live action and pumping budget and increasing production for an animated universe?
Yes.
100%. As long as they can both like coexist.
Yeah. And
Say,
go ahead.
I wouldn't necessarily I can't say the freaking word. I can't say I would prefer to have like a fully integrated MCU and MAU, but like if they kind of like Elseworlds it,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay with that. I'd probably pay more attention to the AU than the CU. See you later, MCU.
Kind of. I'm sorry, and I'm all for Deadpool and Wolverine. Don't get me wrong. I'm dying to see it. But I go back to that Marvel Snap little trailer where it was Deadpool versus Ghost Rider. And I'm like, yo, if we saw them
Oh God.
the way that 97 looks in a world that's based on like, bro, you can take me, refund my ticket, and I would gladly shoot it that animated way, which I feel like is blasphemous to say. But I'd take it all day.
I was gonna say I don't think it is, and I truly believe that at the end of X-Men 97, a lot more people are going to be on that type of train where, in theory, if an animated universe were to be pitched to them, I think a lot more people would say yes, especially if they were told, hey, it's going to be in the same quality of art style as X-Men 97, the same quality of storytelling and pacing. I think a lot of people would be on board, and a lot of people would be very, very happy. Because I think, for example, when you look at things like What If, people showed that they're willing to show up. It's just you have to match that quality of storytelling, because What If is a very good looking show.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think anybody can say anything bad about how it looks. But it does dip in terms of like episode quality, because some stories are good and then some are just kind of like, whatever. We could do without it.
Yeah.
So 5 more weeks and we'll see where Xmen 97 lands in terms of like, tier rankings and just lists in general. Watch out for our eventual one because it'll definitely be high up there. I will say.
Fuck, I didn't want to do this, and I don't want to extend this any longer. But you triggered something in my body. If you had the power rank Xmen 97 across the live action landscape, where would this fit in terms of I guess tier, if you will?
S tier, S plus.
Would you put this over Infinity War Endgame to this point?
As of right now, in terms of general hype and feeling, yes. I don't think that. I genuinely don't know if that's crazy to say. I don't think it is, but yeah.
I don't think it is. I just like hearing it. SB, are you a no-go over Infinity War Endgame yet?
I can't do that yet.
No Way Home?
Fuck no.
No.
Well, yeah, he had No Way Home as his one.
Did.
I can't. I mean, No Way Home until they bring like Japanese Spider-Man, Toby, and Andrew back. Nothing's topping No Way Home for me, and I don't know why I threw Japanese Spider-Man in there. I just kind of like.
Why
I
not?
don't know. He was the next live-action Spider-Man I could think of. Until they do some like stuff like that again, nothing's topping that. Got this bad boy for a reason.
Are you gonna have a big old X across your back after this then?
Oh, actually, I could show this off. I have this handy. I do have an Xmen sticker on my water bottle.
Oh, respect.
It's cool.
Dang, we need some arm patches for this. Listen, right now at this point, midway through season 1, it's my number 1 at this point. Now, if they stick the superhero landing, it's possible that this can stay number 1. I don't see it falling back too far, maybe behind Infinity War and No Way Home, but just their ability to generate a feeling and care for characters who I liked, but for me, Rogue and Gambit were kind of like B tier. I loved them. I like what they do, but I'm invested. They got me invested like that. And it's just something that it took a decade to do in for the MCU for a lot of characters. So interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'm very excited, and we'll definitely be talking about it more. So make sure you subscribe to us if you haven't already. Join us every Wednesday for our Wednesday live stream, 9:05 Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Join us on Discord if you haven't, where we talk about a lot of this stuff ahead of time. But until next time, everybody, thank you for joining us. And there's 3 very important things that you have to do until the next point 3 episode, and that is keep watching Xmen 97, especially. Keep reading and keep nerding out. We will see you guys next time.